Finally, we are back with Ruthless Aggression Era Podcast. And as you might be able to tell, tonight we are talking about Unforgiven 2004.
I wanted you to play more of the song. I love that song.
And also Day of Reckoning. And joining me tonight is Mr. Mox.
What's up, everyone? Ruthless Aggression Era Podcast is back and in full effect.
So we tried to get Adam on here as well, but he said that the link didn't work, which I don't know
I'm
about that. That
yeah. Sounds
sounds
like
like
an
a
Adam.
lie if you ask me.
Sounds like an Adam problem or an Ohio State graduate not knowing how to click a link because a
But
link
we're
worked
just
perfectly
messing with you,
fine.
Adam.
Yeah,
You are listening.
I'm not. I mean it from the heart. That Ohio State thing you have on your wall that you call a diploma. Yeah, that's not worth the paper it's printed on. But thanks for having me on, dude, and excited to be your first guest back and your first podcast back in a while. So this
Like
is gonna
about a month or so, like a month and a half.
work, 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 work.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Metallica. Oh, we're talking about the pay per view.
Yeah, the pay-per-view, Unforgiven 2004, as well as Day of Reckoning. And I guess we can go ahead and talk about Day of Reckoning first, because that probably won't take too long.
Just
So,
as
for
long.
those that don't know, in August 2004, Day of Reckoning was released exclusively for the Nintendo GameCube. This was back in the day when they released games exclusively for consoles. I mean, they still do it now. In fact, Days Gone just now came out exclusively on the PS4. So it does happen, but not too much. At
No,
least not as much as it used to, I don't think.
yeah, used to it was like that was the big thing was the exclusivity. Now they're like you say, it's here and there, but um, used to it was like you had to have this console to get this game, and that's just how it worked.
Yeah.
I've never actually played this game, so tell me and us about it.
I mean, it's a really good game, actually. It's probably one of my favorite WWE games that they've ever done. Because it has that grapple system that No Mercy kind of made popular, kind of made famous. So it's like that.
Uh,
There's not much of a learning curve playing wrestling games like that at the time.
I've seen like screenshots and stuff, and gifs and what have you. I think it's probably you that's posted them before.
Probably,
Um,
yeah.
um, it looks fun. Again, never played it. It looks pretty fun, and it does look like previous models where they took basically like the same game and just made it exclusively for GameCube and called it Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, I mean, it is a unique looking game.
Yeah.
Like, whereas WrestleMania 19, you can kind of tell, kind of was starting to kind of take some things from WrestleMania 18. This does feel like its own game. It's not like trying to be anything else or anything like that.
Does it have like any kind of my career or story
Yes,
modes
it
that you?
does. It actually has a pretty good story mode. You can play on Raw or SmackDown, but there's not much of a difference between the two. The only difference is the stable that you join. On Raw, it's Evolution. On SmackDown, it's Undertaker's new ministry.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
I mean, it does sound cool until you learn that Charlie Haas, Booker T, and Big Show are the ministry.
I'm assuming
Like the
you
most
played.
random group of people.
That's kind of current WWE. Like, let's just put these random people together. I'm assuming you've played as both modes, SmackDown and Raw.
I have. Personally, I prefer a Raw, but that's just me.
Well, you're an
I
evolution.
mean, the whole gist of the game is that you start out in developmental, you work like dark matches and stuff like that. Then you go on Sunday Night Heat and you go on there.
Oh,
And
cool.
then eventually you can choose either Raw or SmackDown. And then you join the group where it's the Ministry on SmackDown or Evolution on Raw. Eventually, Triple H kind of gets jealous of you, kind of gets like paranoid of you, and kicks you out of the group. And then it all culminates in a match at WrestleMania where you face either Triple H or Undertaker for the world title in an Iron Man match.
So basically, real life.
Yeah,
That's neat. Because this came out in 2003, 2004.
2004.
That that's kind of ahead of its time of because they're still doing that with the current 2K versions of where you start off developmental and get signed and work your way up.
And I would say it's better than what the SmackDown games were doing at the time. Not that they didn't have good storylines like that, but they were storylines where they kind of copied it from real life. Here they actually kind of made a unique storyline.
Nice. I have a GameCube, no controllers or anything for it, but I might have to find some controllers and find the game. Every time I come on as a guest and we talk about a game, I'm like, okay, I've got to go find that game. Not every time because there's a couple of doozies out there, but a couple of games like, okay, I want to play that game. When you're not in career mode, do they have like can you set tables on fire, like gimmick matches, stuff like that?
You can't go quite far in that match, unfortunately. But they do have several weapons like a sledgehammer and a title belt and a ring bell and stuff like that.
Ding, dinner's ready. Cool. Any does anybody ever bleed or
Yeah, oh yeah, you can definitely bleed in here.
nice? We like violence. What'd be your overall
Yeah, like
grade
just
for it?
the only what was that?
Go ahead. Jump.
Oh, I was just going to say that the only bad thing about the game is that the roster is kind of limited. It does have some legends like Andre the Giant, and yes, Rudy the Barber Beefcake.
Hall of Famer Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
But it is missing like guys like Eugene and JBL, who was the WWE champion at that point in time.
I was about to say, and looking, 2019, like you might think, like, okay, Eugene's not in the game, but Eugene was a big deal. If it came out in
Yes, at that time.
2004, like they were developing it in 2002 to 2003, you would think he would be in the
Mm-hmm.
game. And like
But
JBL being
Bradshaw
the,
being in it is just weird.
yeah, like you would
Not
think
being in
that
it is weird.
not having a champion in the game is odd.
Which just leads you to wonder if that was the plan all along
Huh.
for him to be champion.
Yeah. Like that just happened by accident and like even the game was like, well, um we released in a month, can't fix it now. So is Cena in the game?
Yes. I think he's on the cover, actually, or on the back cover. No, he's not
Okay.
on the cover. He's on the back cover, I believe. He's
Okay.
on the game disc. I know that for sure.
With Evolution, obviously
On the
Orton and
cover, it's
Batista.
Randy Orton, Triple
Yep.
H, and Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus there, you know why Trish Stratus is on the cover.
I
I
don't
mean,
know. Why is she?
sir, sir. And you answered most of my question. Well, my next question of with Evolution being in the game, obviously Orton and Batista and them were in the game,
Yes.
and Trish. Real quick, the women in the game, obviously Trish is like Lita and
Lita is not in the game.
oh,
I think it's Trish, Molly Holly, Victoria. I think that might be it. And Stacy Keebler, I think is in the game. I don't remember. But I think Trish, Victoria, Molly Holly, I think those are the only women in the game.
no, Tori Wilson,
No.
huh? Which is also kind of surprising considering the
Yeah.
storyline she had at this, during this time, huh? So the women's side of the roster is like very small, apparently.
Yeah.
Can you do intergender matches, or do they make you
I
have to?
believe you can.
Cool, nice. What would be your overall grade for it?
I would give it a B plus. I think it's a really good game. I had a lot of fun with it playing it when it came out.
Cool. And if you've ever heard me on Ruthless Aggression before, I take Matt's opinions very serious. So if he says B plus, it was fun. It's um, definitely some. Again, I have the literally just the console. I don't have controllers, cords, but I'll see if I can get all that stuff. I'll search it out, see, play it for myself. Like if you tell me a game's like horrible, I know not to. Like if it's an F, don't bother with it. I wouldn't bother. But for you giving it a grade of B plus, to me that's a stamp of approval kind of thing. So I'll see if I can
Yeah,
find it
it's a
and
really fun game.
cool. Exclusive on GameCube.
Exclusive to the GameCube.
Okay. So I
And
guess
so
now
now
we
we
talk
go
about
on
the
to Go on.
that Metallica song. Let's talk about some Metallica.
Now we talk about Unforgiven 2004, a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Took place September 12th, 2004, Rose Garden in Portland, Oregon. And apparently it's one of only two pay-per-views to be held in Oregon, with the other being No Mercy 2008.
Yes.
It's kind of a strange choice for Oregon to have a wrestling pay-per-view. I don't know. For me, Oregon doesn't really feel like a big wrestling state.
Um, I can see that, but at the same time, um, Oregon, especially Portland, has like the population at least. But this being the first ever pay per view held in the state of Oregon, and only one of two, and like you mentioned, the second one being No Mercy 2008. Only two pay per
Mhm.
views have ever been held in Oregon, which is shocking. Uh, I get what you're saying about Oregon might not be like a big wrestling state, but people still live there. and it was just I knew the fact,
So
and
I guess
then
it's like Cleveland, Ohio in that respect.
I love you so much. This is why we're best friends. But yeah, doing research to talk about this, I watched this in 2004, rewatched it when we were supposed to do the podcast month and a half ago, whatever, and but I wanted to also look up facts like attendance and stuff like that, and finding out that it was the first ever WWE pay per view in Oregon, and that there's only been two. It's almost like you just would think like there would at least be three, four, something like that. So that was surprising to learn. And they give the attendance as a flat 10,000, which that's not accurate. Like there's no way you
No.
got exactly 10,000 people.
Yeah, it does feel inflated more or less.
We're gonna round up from 6,500 people, just make it 10,000. Before we get into the actual pay per view, the cover of the DVD for the pay per view, and I guess the poster for the event itself, the Kane
Insane.
unmasked
Kane. Kane.
dude. That I don't know what it is about that, but I love it. Like it's just
Same here.
something about it. Like it's so there's nothing like extravagant about it. It's just unmasked Kane, and when they finally took all the like his face is all burnt stuff away, and just his crazy look into the camera, which they made the poster and stuff out of. Like I love it. It's so simple, but it's so good.
And it was also the second year in a row to have Kane on the Unforgiven poster.
Something else. I didn't realize this was the seventh annual Unforgiven. Like holy crap,
Yeah, it
time
started all
flew.
the way in '98 with Kane and Undertaker in the Inferno match, and Dude Love and Stone Cold for the world title in the main event.
Like it's time flies, and then you get older. Like holy crap, 2004 was the seventh annual. Like, dang. Like looking back, you could just off the top of my head, like how many? If somebody would have asked, like how many Unforgiven pay per views were there? I don't know, four maybe, five at most. Like oh no, they're more than that. When you watch wrestling for so long, like everything just kind of jumbles together. Anyway,
And the theme song for this show was Survival of the Sickest by Saliva. I really enjoyed this being the theme song for the show.
well, you can't really go wrong with Saliva, especially in 2004.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were the jam. I still love them. I know
Same here.
people might look down on me for it, but I love Saliva.
And what do you think about the set design for this show? Because I wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty much is bland the word I'm looking for.
I
It
don't know if I'd go so far as to say bland. I did like that they had like the little match graphic at the for like the top half of the Titantron. Almost reminded me of WrestleMania 17 a little bit, or even WrestleMania 20. So I did like that aspect of it, but I don't know. I liked Unforgiven 2003's set design much better than this. It's not a
yeah
bad thing by any means, but I'm not a huge fan of this.
yeah it wasn't when I said bland I was um I wasn't impressed by it. I did like the what you're referring to with the mania kind of aspect of like from 20. The Titantron stuff was pretty neat, but the design itself was kind of just something there was missing, kind of lacking, if you will. But it brings us back to current day of at least like it was a different design than the same stuff we get today. Like everything's just so cookie cutter today. Like unless it's WrestleMania, it's going to be the same. Or I guess now Royal Rumble going to baseball fields and stuff. Like we get different set designs, but everything else is just the same. You can't tell if you're watching a pay per view, Raw, SmackDown. Um, so at least there's that. Like it had its own, the set of Unforgiven 2004. So are we gonna?
And so now the first match was Chris Benoit and William Regal going up against Batista and Ric Flair of Evolution.
Can we just start with Chris Benoit and William Regal tag teaming?
Just that tag team in general is just so weird.
Yeah, that it's such an odd pairing.
And even besides that, just Benoit being in the opening match 1 month after being the main event of SummerSlam. I just find that really sad.
Well, yeah, that too. That
And a meaningless match at that.
yeah, that because the match was, and yes, it had evolution in it. It had Ric Flair and Batista, and at the time, 2004, like you didn't get much bigger than evolution. But use the word meaningless, and I agree. This was a meaningless match.
I mean, it's actually a pretty good match. Actually, just it
Yeah.
doesn't
Oh,
really
the
mean anything.
the match was good. It was just, I mean, you can have a good match and the match still be meaningless.
Right? Yeah.
Just a
And also,
weird.
I would say this is one of my least favorite William Regal attires. The
Oh,
singlet, which I do not think works at all.
he's that. What? Why, William? Why? That was no. Don't. Just don't, William. You cannot look in the mirror with what he was wearing and say, "Yeah, I'm ready. I look good." Like, sir, sir,
I
no.
mean, I wouldn't say
That,
it's his worst attire.
oh, it's definitely
Or
not his.
there's much worse.
It's not his worst, but it's up there.
Like when he had like the trunks and like that leotard thing. Like I would say that's the worst Regal attire.
Why do you have to torture me with bringing up memories of things that we're not supposed to talk about? Because that was
Hashtag
just,
never forget.
oh, sir. Uh, but yeah, pretty decent match. S- it kind of a weird opener, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because it wasn't like usually the opening match is like popping the crowd, and this match it did to agree, but not like there could have been a different opening match, and this could have just
Mm-hmm.
fallen later in the card when weird opening match, weird match, good match, just weird altogether. And
So the next match was Victoria versus Trish Stratus. And this was just kind of a weird match in general, just because their alignment's being reversed. Because I am so used to seeing face Trish versus heel Victoria. Now it's
yeah,
the roles are reversed, and I don't think it's necessary for the better.
real quick to backtrack just for a
Because
second.
I hate Victoria's dancing gimmick she has at the moment.
Sir, we all did. But the opening match, not only was it like everything we just explained, but you also have Benoit and Regal go over Evolution, with Benoit giving a crippler cross face to, I believe it was Flair, right?
I think so.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
Flair.
okay, that happened. But yeah, getting to the second match, the Victoria Trish match. Ah, I don't know where to begin. This was
I mean,
such a
I
weird.
didn't hate this match.
Again, it's one of those things like the match was decent, just there were other weird things about the match.
Like what?
Uh, Victoria, whatever Victoria was doing at the time, whatever you want to call that.
And I think the worst thing about it was how sudden it was. Like she was just like the psycho character, and literally a week later, she just comes out and just kind of, it's just kind of a smiling baby face now, and it's just it doesn't work. I don't think.
Yeah, and then you put her against Trish. Like it, but at the same time, this is 2004, and let's just be honest. The Divas division, not a lot of thought
It wasn't
went.
good. It wasn't
Yeah,
good.
not a lot of thought went into things. So, um, but they still put on a good match. It's just it's everything else about the match was just weird as crap. Like all of a sudden, Victoria is dancing Emma. Like, um, happy to be here. Like that's not the Victoria that we know and we've seen for a couple. Like that's who's this? Who who's this random person that showed up and is claiming to be Victoria? But yeah, the women's division back then was, you can tell they were always everything else was filled out like, oh, we've got to do a women's match. Well, we're gonna do this and this and okay, there you go. Like, and it translates. To their credit, though, like we said, good match.
Yeah,
It's not stellar, like it's not,
yeah,
tra-
it's fine.
yeah, it's not transcending or anything, but a good match. I mean, it's still
They've had
Victoria
better
and
matches.
Trish. Oh, absolutely, and it's still Victoria and Trish. They're gonna put on a good match. Just one of those, just like Regal with Benoit. It's one of those. What now? But the match itself delivered, like we knew it would.
Now, as far as what happened after the match,
Matt, you have the
so a
floor.
mystery woman came into the ring and attacked Tomko, and Tomko challenges the mystery woman to a match. And I don't even want to repeat what Tomko says. I just,
Yeah. You're gonna have to at least paraphrase it.
Honestly, I don't even remember, but I just remember it being offensive.
Um, very much so.
To the effect of, get out here before I drag you out here. Quote, you cross-dressed hermaphrodite.
Yes.
That's what Tomko says.
2004 WWF, WWE, ladies and gentlemen.
And no one who wrote for The Rock a lot and who was one of the lead writers on Raw, I have a good feeling I know who wrote that line.
Who do you think?
I think Brian Gerwitz,
I could see that.
because Rock used to use that term a lot in his
Yeah,
promos,
yeah,
especially with Kevin Kelly.
yeah. Um, and there's no defending it, so I'm not gonna try. But um, I can't even say like when Rock used it, it was in a different context, so it made it a little better because it's just just bad all around, regardless of who's saying it and how they're using it. And yeah, that's no bueno.
So the mystery woman and Tonko end up having a match together, and it's revealed that the mystery woman is in fact Steven Richards. And King and JR do not even put it over at all. Like, JR says that Steven Richards with the same enthusiasm that Todd Grisham had when he saw that Christian came back. Like, oh, it's Steven Richards.
Hey, your job is to sell us with excitement, so we get excited. And
I mean, I think the idea is that it's not shocking who it was, because Steven Richards ties with Victoria and all, but even so, like, it is like
yeah,
the least enthusiastic saying review him someone ever.
it was a lot was left to be desired. And like you say, it was literally like, hey, Steve Richards, thanks, thanks,
Yeah,
Jr.
and these two proceed to have one of the worst matches in the entire Ruthless Aggression era.
Oh yeah, it's up on the list. Oh,
And
it's
it's a
got to
shame
be up
because
on the list.
I know Steven Richards is a good wrestler. He's a really good wrestler. Tomko, not so much. But Richards is a good wrestler. He could
Uh,
have gotten a good match out of Tomko. But
Absolutely. Um,
I don't think it's necessarily either guy's fault. I think it just comes down to the agent thing and the producing of the match.
yeah, yeah, and that goes back to you can lump that in with how the women were booked back then because how this was agented and booked. It was um, by extension part of the one women story of the show, and you can tell that because Stevie, like you say, is good, and Stevie should be able to pull a good match out of Tomko because Tomko, let's face it, sucked, and he
He had a
couldn't.
cool goatee, though. You gotta give him that.
No, yeah, he had that going for him.
I actually have an action figure of Tyson Tomko.
Do you really?
Yes, it was like this triple pack of Trish Stratus,
Oh,
Christian, and Tyson Tomko. And the only reason I got it was because I wanted the Trish figure.
one of those things are not like the other. What? How do they put Christian with Trish and Tyson Tomko?
Well, they were all together at this point
And
in time.
yeah, I get why. I was just making a looking back, like if somebody just happened to. stumble upon that triple pack, like um, um they'd probably buy it thinking like it was um a mistake in the factory or something, and it would be worth money because surely Tomko should not be in this triple pack. Yeah, this match, there's not much to say. It
Yeah, this match
sucks.
sucked. Like easily the worst match on the card.
Yeah, like you said, it one of the worst matches of the Ruthless Aggression era. Like, oh. So moving on, let's get away from
Yeah, after
this.
that we get a much better match. Christian versus Chris Jericho in a ladder match for the vacant Intercontinental Championship. Edge was the Intercontinental Champion around this time, but Edge, I believe, tore his groin at the time. And the Intercontinental title was vacant.
I was gonna make a joke, but I won't. Uh,
Make the joke.
Edge and tearing his groin and Lita. Never mind. But he did shoot like tear his groin. He was out with injury, so he had to vacate the belt. Which led to this match. I loved this match.
Oh, same here. I thought this match was really, really good. I feel like it
Uh,
could have been a bit better, but I still thought it was really good.
yeah, it because again, this is a weird time period in WWE, and so there's so many moving pieces, and the split of like this was a Raw exclusive pay per view, and this um, and everything kind of seemed not everything, but a lot of things seemed thrown together, and I think even this match because of Edge's injury, so for it to kind of happen the way it happened, like how this was a really good match in my opinion. It's it's a ladder match. It's Chris Jericho. It's Christian and a ladder match. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, I guess you could, but my little Mark Hart, if you 2004, here's a ladder match between one of the greatest ladder match people ever in Christian and supposedly the inventor of the Money in the Bank ladder match. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I
Except
thought it was
for
a really
who
good
wins.
match. Right? They took like a bunch of risks. I do know that like Jericho like landed really, really hard, like on his tailbone on the ladder or one of the legs of the ladder.
Yeah. Oh, his butt hurt. That no
Yeah.
pun intended, like Jericho's butt. But how he like hit, his butt hurt the next day, like his tailbone. We've all fallen um, on our keister, and that tailbone bruise. Oh, it hurt so bad. And he didn't just fall; like he fell, and onto the edge of a ladder. Like, ouch.
Jericho even pulls a TLC Raw Roulette and puts Christian in the Walls of Jericho on a ladder.
Um, But I was told recently if, if Paige is a PTO on an announce table, it's so much more destructive.
See, okay, I have a problem with people that kept saying that. Like, that's not the point. The point of it is not to like hurt someone even more. It's to make a statement, and so many
Yes.
people did not understand that.
Yeah, it went over a lot of people's heads. That's was kind of my
It really,
my joke. My joke of the point
yeah.
wasn't her doing it on the table is supposed to be um, times 10 on the game level, or level up 9,000 or whatever. It was a statement. I'll put you in a PTO on the announce table for everybody to see.
So
And
if Sasha Banks is in the Money in the Bank ladder match this year, if she does a bank statement on the ladder, would it be a bank statement statement?
sir, 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 why, sir, why? But yeah, and being a Christian fan, jumping kind of to the end of the match. Yeah, I love Jericho and Christian. Jumping to the end of the match, obviously, Matt who wins. Do you remember, or do you want me to say? Oh, da 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 da.
If only AA was here.
If only. Um, I I love Jericho. Loved him all the way back WCW cruiserweight days. But I wanted Christian to win here.
Hmm. Yeah, and after the match, it feels like they tried to build up to a Edge Jericho match, which never really happens. Because after Edge does get back from his injury, he does turn heel and go after the world title. So it never really happens.
Yeah, they once Edge got back from injury, um, they put the rocket on him and turned him heel, and he never looked back. Like
So they
IC
put Owen
titles,
Hart
sir.
on him.
What'd you
I
say?
mean, Owen Hart was the Rocket.
Oh, sir. Why must you do this to me? But yeah, I was rooting for Christian to prevail here. Didn't happen. Life sucks sometimes, but later down the road, like Jericho's IC title run after this was pretty fun. So no regrets, I guess.
I mean, I think he holds it for like a month, I think.
That was my joke. That was my joke. I think the very next pay per view he loses it.
Yeah, Taboo Tuesday. That's
Oh,
in a few
we're not.
weeks.
Uh, we're spoiling the next episode of Ruthless Aggression
Well,
Era
not
podcast.
necessarily the next episode. It's still a few weeks away.
Ah, yeah. It which makes you question like why, what, and 15 years later, and all of the rumors and speculation of them not seeing it and Christian and stuff. Eventually, apparently, they did, but somebody somewhere was like, he doesn't quite have quote unquote it, which I mean, he did, but
I mean, he
Jericho,
was Captain Charisma.
Exactly. But for them to have Jericho win the vacant title, IC title here, and lose it a month later, kind of funny. Good match though. Again, like solid,
Yeah.
solid match. Ooh, this next match.
And the next match, Kane versus Shawn Michaels in a no disqualification match.
I wish I had a way to play Unforgiven in the background.
Yeah, the storyline going into this match was awful. It really was.
Again, 2004, and it wasn't just for the women. Like it, a lot of stuff was let's throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Because that's what this was. Not the match. The lead in, the build.
Yeah,
Like,
this just the whole storyline in general.
yeah. Uh, which that, given the storyline leading up to it, and the match being where it was on the card, um, makes it even a little more awkward of Kane being the face of the pay per view.
Well, he was still a heel at this time.
No, no, I didn't mean face like face heel dynamic. I meant like he's on the poster, he's on the DVD cover.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see what
yeah, like him, like it just it doesn't add up. Of I yeah, it was a bad storyline, but I guess they were trying to make it a big storyline, which also made it even worse that they were trying to overdo the story. I mean, by now, I guess we get the point that Unforgiven meant Kane. But this was just, you would think Kane being on the posters and DVD covers after and stuff, like Kane would have been in the main event. Nope. And Sean hadn't been back very long
Yeah,
before
because he
this,
was.
right?
I think he got run off a couple weeks after Bad Blood. Kane pretty much pulmonized Sean's throat, and he's been out for a few months. And this was his comeback match. Since I think it might have been his first match since Bad Blood, I believe, in a Hell in a Cell match.
Just off the top of my head, I want to say you are correct. I knew, like, I just couldn't pinpoint like when the writing off and stuff was, but that adds up. But yeah, a no DQ match with the current Knoxville County mayor. And, oh, oh, we'll just stick to 2004. Sorry. What do you think about this match?
I thought the match was actually really good, despite the storyline and despite everything happening with Kane and Lita at this time. I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was able to tell a good story like that. Shawn Michaels was taking a lot of punishment. Shawn Michaels bleeds at one point in the match. I do like that to kind of tell the story of Lita really not wanting to be in Kane's corner. And
Yeah.
Lita almost kind of cost Kane the match, really. Shawn Michaels ends up countering with sweet chin music. And I did like that Shawn actually has to roll up Kane to win.
Yeah, that's uh,
Like, even though he does hit sweet chin music, he still has to roll Kane up in order to win.
the storyline leading up to it sucks so bad that this match kind of made up for all of that nonsense. Because like the match itself, good match, and the story was like told in this match, and but again, like we've said, the storyline leading up to it has a lot of lacking desire. Excuse me. I'm still trying to get over cold, flu, whatever. But it's Shawn Michaels. I'm so sorry. And Kane's not a bad worker. Kane's never been a
Oh,
bad worker.
absolutely not.
So it's a Shawn Michaels Kane no DQ match. Like the match 2 matches ago. Like it's it by all intents and purposes, it should be a good match, and it was. Um, Again, the only thing is the storyline leading up to it. Uh, um, Good match. The Lita Kane thing, I hated like that whole storyline stuff. Like I loathed it. Like so to see that kind of come to close was decent enough.
I mean, it gets even worse the next night on Raw. Because the next night on Raw, Kane has a match with none other than Gene Snitsky. And Gene
It
Snitsky hits Kane with a chair, falls on top of Lita, and Lita has a quote unquote kayfabe miscarriage.
yeah, sir.
And
It's
we'll
not
go
my
into more
fault.
details of the misadventures of Gene Snitsky and Kane on the Taboo Tuesday episode.
Can we start calling Rice Snitsky because it's always not his fault? It's not my fault. Yeah, the next Monday, the following Monday, like the day after Monday. Holy crap was but I guess at least they gave us an end as
I guess.
horrible, and I cannot say horrible enough as that dadgum thing was. At least that bullcrap was over. Like, okay. Like, finally. Now let's start kicking babies.
So the next match was La Resistance versus Tajiri and Rhino, or as Stone Cold would call him, Tajiri. La
Todd
Resistance
Jerry.
Tajiri and Rhino for the World Tag Team Championships.
Again, this goes 2004. This goes to
Why
the
are La
reckoning,
Resistance still a thing?
sir.
Why are La Resistance still a thing?
Um, it's, maybe you haven't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have no answers. But 2004, it was like, oh yeah, we have to include some women. Oh yeah, also don't forget, we have um tag team champions. We got to include them, and that's what this was. And this was what?
I mean, the match is fine, but it easily could have been on like Raw or something like that. It really didn't need to be on a pay per view.
Yeah, this was a
Or even the Sunday
filler
Night Heat
Raw.
match.
Speaking of, what was the Sunday Night Heat match?
The Sunday Night Heat match apparently was Maven defeating Rodney Mack.
Yeah, yeah. For those that don't remember, Sunday Night Heat used to play on MTV before the Sundays before pay per view. Yeah, it was Maven versus Rodney Mack. Yeah. Uh,
But Mox, did you back the Mac?
eh, what about me? What about Maven?
Yeah,
Oh,
Mox, were you craving for Maven?
sir, please stop. Um, we get to. I didn't enjoy this tag match like at all. Like it.
I mean, that's always okay,
Yeah,
but
I
it
was gonna
wasn't
say
anything special.
it was. It's just. Uh, it's not one if somebody's like, "Hey, I just got the WWE Network. What matches should I go find out, or what should I go find on YouTube?" It's not going to be a match that I ever recommend to anybody. It was a thing that happened. It wasn't the worst thing that happened. It wasn't even the worst match on this card. It's just so yeah. It's like that. Oh yeah, we have tag titles. Got to do something with those. And Sylvian just he grated my nerves. I blame Canada.
So the main event was Randy Orton versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Randy Orton got kicked out of Evolution the night after SummerSlam, and this is what kicks off this little feud with Orton and Triple H.
And for those that don't know, this is the infamous um, the night after SummerSlam thumbs up, thumbs down. Correct?
Are you recording? Are you recording? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Dude, I'm 15 years. That was literally I was going off of memory, but that's how that happened, right?
I was doing a Sammy Callahan impression, but yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Well, you're the worst ever, so of course you would do a Sammy Callahan. Well, no, because there's still an Adam Rice in the world, so second worst ever. So, but yeah, it was thumbs up, everybody's happy, and then Triple H gave the thumbs down.
Orton made a choice to take my world title.
Oh, the reign of terror, gotta love it.
I mean, it does kind of make Orton look like kind of an idiot. Because what did he think Triple H was going to do?
Yeah, like that was one of those things. Like where you have teasers on other TV shows, like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, a fan or somebody should have met Randy at an airport, like, hey, guy, hey, we all see this coming. Do you not see this coming? Um,
So Orton turns face because of this, and I don't think he ever worked as a face.
yeah, I can't say ever, but not back then. Like Orton was, he just exudes Hill. Like that's just his persona. Like he's Hill. Um, Later down the line, like because I've made no bones about it, and I get flack over it sometimes. Like I love Randy Orton. I know a lot of people think he's boring and yada yada yada. I love Randy Orton. This 2004 was not a good. Let's make Orton FaceTime. Hey, do you want to FaceTime? We make horrible
Because
jokes.
there wasn't much to his character after that.
Yeah,
Because Randy Orton, he suffered from the same thing that Seth Rollins suffered from when they tried to turn him face. He had really no redeeming qualities besides the fact that he got turned on by
yeah,
his mentor,
yeah.
Triple H. That was the
Exactly,
only redeeming quality he had.
exactly. And surprisingly, we're talking about the same person, Triple H. Um, but there was no reasoning. Is not the word I'm looking for. There was no except for um, I guess just to go full Mark's no word good. Um, like he bad guy. He worse than me. So I good guy now. Like that's basically like there's no substance to the turn. There was no reasoning. There was no reason to get behind. Like oh my god, face Randy. We've all been waiting for face Randy. Yay! No, it was just Triple H is meaner than I am. Like kind of thing. Just like with the Seth Rollins thing. Like I'm a bad guy, but he badder. This guy badder with no. You know what I'm trying to say. Please tell me you don't because I don't know what I'm trying to say. It was so just generic, forced. Made no made sense, but just it so lackluster. What do you think of the match itself?
It was okay. It wasn't anything special. I at least thought it was better than Benoit and Orton from SummerSlam, but there wasn't really too much to really say about this match. It was just kind of an okay match. It was what it was.
And with this kind of match, you're gonna have interference in Ric Flair and
And there
Batista.
was a bunch, like more than
Yeah,
I was expecting there to be. Like even Coach interfered in
I
the
was
match.
about to say, didn't Coachman Jonathan Coachman
That
get
was
involved?
random. That was so random.
Like what the? And we've been living with that before then, and we're still living to it 15 years later. Of that's a Triple H match, uh, which took a. They could have had a good match. The match, I'll just go ahead and say the match wasn't good, just based on all the shenanigans and the outside stuff. Like it just, if they would have just let them face each other, it would have been better than all the outside stuff. And has anybody answered why the heck Jonathan Coachman was? Does
I
anybody
don't
have
know.
that
I
answer?
really don't know. And Triple H does end up winning the world title after a pedigree onto the steel chair. I know a lot of people hated this decision. What did you think about it? Did you think that this was the right call to put the title back on Triple H?
Well, I said Reign of Terror for a reason. The right call, in retrospect, at the time, no. Like I loathed it. In retrospect, I can kind of see why it still doesn't make it taste any better, but yeah, it's for one, like we were talking about with the Orton face turn here. Could you imagine if they left it on Orton and we had to deal with 6 months or a year of face champion Orton at that time?
Yeah, it would not have been good at all.
Yeah,
That's why
so
I think that, in retrospect at least, I think Triple H win the title in retrospect was the right thing to do because Randy Orton, wasn't really like over that much as a face. He kind of lost sight of what
yeah,
made like the company lost sight of what made Randy Orton such a good character to begin with,
yeah,
and that was his arrogance.
precisely. That's you word better than Mox. You, yeah. Um, Randy Orton was in this weird place of a character that wasn't really connecting with anybody during this quote unquote transition. And so put it back on Triple H. Again, at the time, hated it. Looking back, I can see why they did it, and it made a lot more sense. Looking back, that they put it back on Triple H and let Orton's character wasn't even quite fleshed out enough. After the leaving Evolution and stuff, like he needed more time to grow, develop the Randy Orton character. So I'm looking back, but at the time, oh my god, I was pissed. I was,
Because I don't think Randy Orton really finds himself as a solo guy until his feud with Undertaker the following year.
yeah, 2005, yeah, and even then, like that, it was still kind of baby stepping, but that was like a
Yeah.
big baby step with his Undertaker feud. Like, okay, this is the Randy Orton we still know today kind of developed in that feud with Undertaker the following year of but yeah, they this match was mediocre. It could have been better. Could have been worse. It needed a lot less of the outside bullcrap. Yeah. Uh,
So that's Unforgiven 2004. What'd you think about the show, Mox?
um, this is one of those where like the peaks and valleys, like the highs were like really good, but then the valleys are so like the bads were so bad. Um, I'd probably give it a if I have to give a grade, maybe a C because it didn't fail because there was some good spots in it. It didn't first of the class kind of grade, but it didn't fail either. So I'll just go a flat C. What about you?
I would give it a C minus. Maybe like it was an okay show. Like you said, like the good stuff that's really good, it's really good. But the bad stuff is just downright horrendous. So I would give it a C minus. It's okay. It's an okay show. It's not great, but it's just okay. It's a
It,
mediocre pay per view, I think.
yeah, and again, I brought this up about a match earlier. Um, excuse me, I'm so sorry. If somebody's asking like recommendations for just got the network, what pay per view should I watch? It wouldn't be one that I would be on one of my top of the list of things I would recommend for new wrestling fan to watch or an old wrestling fan that just got the subscription. Like Unforgiven 2004 wouldn't. It would be on my list just way, 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 way down. Like I wouldn't say, hey, check out 2004 Unforgiven. That's it, and especially looking back now, like it's really a throwaway pay-per-view. Like it happened. It didn't need to happen. Would you recommend it to anybody asking for suggestions to things to watch on the network?
I would recommend. I would recommend the ladder match,
Yeah,
but
I was
that's
gonna
about it.
like, and you can find that on YouTube. Like don't watch this whole pay-per-view, but if you want to see something from that era, watch the Jericho Christian ladder match. And that it's up on YouTube, or if you know put it on the network, fast forward to that match, watch that match, and then just stop the pay-per-view. Like, don't watch anymore. My match of the night would be the ladder match. I'm assuming
Same
yours
here.
is, yeah, that would be my match of the night. Still wish, um, and again, I get it now, but still wish Christian would have come out with the IC title. But what can you do?
So I think that just about does it for this episode.
So glad to have you back on air, man.
Yeah, feels good.
People have missed you. People have missed you, and people have missed you talking about this era that doesn't get enough attention. Like everybody goes Attitude Era to PG Era, and Ruthless Aggression Era um, somehow gets lost in the mix, and you podcasting about it is a great thing, and we appreciate it as wrestling fans. And I'm speaking for a lot of our friends and stuff. Like you picked a good topic to discuss. Until you make me review some of the albums that came out during this time, but
I
that's
mean,
neither here nor.
we do have Theme Addict, WWE The Music Volume 6 in a few weeks.
Oh, I'll be out of the country or something, or I'll find a way to go to prison or something. I'm missing that. Like I seem to always get on the bad. This one wasn't that bad, but it's
See,
usually some
I
music.
threw you a bone. I threw you a bone. This
See,
WrestleMania 19, I throw you a couple bones every now and then.
yeah, but again, thanks for having me. Um, it's
No
always a
problem.
pleasure talking to you.
Where, where can they find you at?
Um, I'm on Twitter, Fireman6809. Um, you can find us. We have a separate podcast Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Violent
Boy,
Wrestling, no, sir.
that's
Some Jack Donkey might be a host of it. I'm not going to name names, but he's the other person talking. You can
Was
find us.
initials be AR by any chance? I'm just picking on you, Adam. If you are listening, we love you.
Sir, I am not picking on you, Adam Rice. I do not like you. And with that said, he knows I love him. Um,
Yeah.
you can find us, me, Matt, AA, Adam Rice, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Violent Wrestling Podcast. Um, that's about it for me. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Milmat15 here on KSIT, saying on the daily and the nightly. And next Thursday, because the next couple of Fridays I will be at work, I will be working. So next Thursday I will try and do another one. Going to try and get this back on track. Try and make these shows a bit more consistent than they have been. So
Working
next Thursday
nine
will be
to
our,
five. Sorry. I had to. I had to.
so next Thursday will be a new episode of Ruthless Aggression Error podcast, and it's going to be an episode of SmackDown because around this time SmackDown celebrated its 5th anniversary. So we're going to be taking a look at that episode of SmackDown, which one of the highlights was Gangrel and Viscera making a one night only appearance to take on The Undertaker.
Player, holla, holla. Tonight you go 2-on-1 with the Undertaker.
And so the 5th anniversary SmackDown show, that will be the next episode next Thursday on Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. So hopefully we will see you then. Until then, good night, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Peace.